New Tale of Zatoichi. It released in 1963 and it's the third installment in the Zatoichi franchise, which is the longest samurai franchise that exists. This time it was directed by Tokuzo Tanaka and it once again stars Shintaro Katsu. This is the first film in the series to be in full color, and I'll admit I do prefer this over the classic black and white style. It adds a different kind of mood and feel to the overall film. One thing to mention about this director is that he was the assistant director of one of Japan's greatest films, Rashomon, and he does an excellent job directing this one. New Tale of Zatoichi finds our blind protagonist slash swordsman slash massage therapist. This time he wants to change some things about his past, leave behind the Yakuza, correct some mistakes, and return to his hometown. On his way over, he ends up running into a schoolmate that's now a musician. And he also finds his childhood friend that now has a family. The four end up staying in the inn together, and then as Ichi starts singing a song, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the place gets assaulted by a gang of hooded thieves. So as not to endanger his friends, this time Zatoichi does not fight, and he prefers that the criminals just believe that he's just a poor blind masseuse. When in reality, he's an awesome blind swordsman that's unstoppable. This movie mainly focuses on Ichi's reputation and consequences of his actions in the previous film. Once again, this is a pretty meditative character study at heart, not so much an action flick. It does once again feature the flashes of fast-paced, decisive action that we saw in the other two films, but with the added bonus of a plot focused on a kidnapping. The film's pacing flows very nicely, and it reaches a point where it gets kind of a melancholic yet explosive finale. It is a little bit all over the place and doesn't really have the strongest of plots, but it does focus on memorable moments, and this all ends up adding to Ichi's character and makes you respect him more. This time you can't solve every conflict with your sword. We also witness a rather ill-fated romance, and this ends up bringing out the best of Zatoichi, but the worst of his master. And yes, we do get to meet his original master in this. I also noticed that this film has a slight philosophical background that's somewhat reminiscent of Taoism, the action of not doing anything. And that's really something that's not shown enough. Sometimes the best option is to do nothing. A lot of times doing something just causes all this chaos, but that's another story. You'll see examples of this, like how Ichi is very passive towards Kanbei's brother who just wants revenge. And this adds a deeper level to his character rather than him just using his sword like we've seen a million times. The attitude of Zatoichi is to renounce his past life and become a new man by returning to the origins. Basically, the village he grew up in. I will have to say, the first half of the film is rather slow and kind of pointless, but luckily it picks up in the second half, and that's when it really starts to show some pretty deep messages about life, and that's stuff I always liked. The second half of this film might be one of the most emotional things that we've seen in the franchise so far. We witness Zatoichi's desperate quest for love and peace of mind, which he simply cannot find as he's constantly challenged, judged, and haunted by the demons of his past. The rest of the characters are also pretty developed, and the movie does do a good job mixing decent sword fights and choreography with a tragic love story. In the end, this one might not live up to the previous two films, but I still really enjoyed it. It's definitely still worth your attention because of the emotional second half, and that makes up for the slow first half. So here's some trivia I'd like to add before I go. Zatoichi's katana is a Shiko Mitsue. This is a sword which is concealed within a wooden cane. Thus the cane itself is both handle and scabbard. This film is part of the Jidaigeki genre, which translates to period drama. While Zatoichi is repeatedly referred to as a masseuse in English subtitles, the Japanese term anma would be more correct. Anma is both the term used for the practice, and it's generally a nomadic practitioner of Japanese massage. In fact, there was laws passed so that masseuses can only be blind. It was forbidden to be learned by anyone with sight. So, this movie is very enjoyable and entertaining. Plus, its shift to color has more of an impact on the overall look and feel. I found myself enjoying this one, but just not as much as the second film. But it's still well made, it's engaging, and I do want more. Fans of the franchise should definitely watch this, while occasional martial arts fans should try out the first two films first before watching this. Anyway, thanks guys for watching, and please support the Patreon to help the channel grow. Thank you.